Mr. Powell, speaking of meteorologists working long hours,
Yes.
Myrtle Beach making the national news this week for all of the wrong reasons. The epicenter of one of the, if not the biggest fires. And we saw dozens of them across both North and South Carolina this week. Tell us about the Carolina forest fire.
Yeah. Well, this started Saturday afternoon. Saturday morning, a fire weather warning was issued for all of the Grand Strand and the PD of South Carolina. And so everybody's kind of on pins and needles, knowing that possibility of seeing a fire was possible. It's been very dry here, and it seems like every event that's come our way has kind of dried up before it's got here. The only really long-lasting precipitation was the winter storm we had a couple of weeks ago. That southwest wind is a blowtorch wind, so you get that wind coming in out of the south and southwest. And Saturday it was up in the mid to upper 70s, even here at the coast. And so it was just kind of that prime factor of dry conditions, low relative humidity, and gusty winds. We were seeing wind gusts upwards of 30, 40 miles per hour, and it didn't take much for ignition to start. In fact, this evening I was out there doing some reports, and I saw an fire investigation team out there just kind of looking through the forest and stuff. So there has been one arrest.
So that was a person who was arrested for violating the burn order.
That's correct.
The no burn order.
Yeah, so Governor McMaster, Frank, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was Friday or maybe Saturday, he issued a stern warning that said, you need to abide by the burn rule. If you're called, you will go to jail. And that was direct words from the governor. And so the gentleman who was arrested was contacted by Horry County officials one time and was given a citation. He cited he didn't know about the warning, the burn ban, and then he got called for a second time and he went to jail. So he is in jail.
Being stubborn.
But anyways, this fire quickly. By Saturday night, I'm sure you've seen the images of places like the Walker Road area, the Covington Drive area, Tuckahoe Road. I've got a picture of that Saturday night where it's went world national wide of the flames and the home and the firefighters being battling those tall flames. And then I was at that house today, and you can kind of see the tops of the trees scorched from the fire. So there you go. That's it right there. So that was Saturday night, and then that's the perspective. You can see how tall those pine trees are. And if you take a closer look at that picture of the home today with the blue sky, you can actually see where part of the roof there and the awnings there are melted from the fire, and portions of the roof are burnt from the embers. So it got that close to people's homes. And we are so thankful for Horry County and the entire state of South Carolina and North Carolina who sent fire departments here to help us. As of right now, the only damage is things like this. That we haven't lost any structures, and just great fire protection from all of the folks in Horry County. And I've seen fire trucks from the Charlotte area all the way over to Clemson, South Carolina, to Raleigh. I mean, there's been just Charleston, Johns Island, like the whole states, both North and South Carolina, have been here throughout the last 5 or 6 days helping with this. And so, and the funny thing about this, and I think Brad will enjoy this as a weather weenie himself. As this smoke plume was going on, it was the fire jumped the fire line, and it was about waist to chest tall dry grass. And so once it got in that dry grass, it just torched up like that. And you could literally, we always talk about how fire creates its own weather. And to experience that, you hear the big roar, the big gust of wind. It gets totally dark outside, and it's just like a lot of energy. And that wind is blowing 40, 50 miles per hour. And then fire officials able to put it out, and everything calms back down. It's continuing to smolder, and probably will until we get really good rainfall. So anyways, unfortunately, though, the rain that we saw today really didn't do much. I was out there talking about the weather elements, and you could kind of scruff your boots on the topsoil and kind of get away the little wet topsoil, and the ground is just as dry underneath it. At one point you were seeing these Scout helicopters, and then you were seeing Scout planes, and then Chinook helicopters, Black Hawks, just all the total fire apparatuses that were out there just fighting this fire. And Carolina Forest, arguably the most grownest community in Horry County, there's subdivision on stacked on top of subdivision, stacked on subdivision, and then right behind it, it was a forest at one time, hence Carolina Forest. And being out there doing the reports, at times it was just ash falling out of the sky, and you would think it would be like snow flurries because the ash was so big. But I've seen wildfires in Western North Carolina, but most of the time they're confined to the mountains. I've never seen wildfires this close to people's homes where they're literally out there fighting with garden hoses trying to keep their property safe.
Absolutely crazy stuff.